Dolo dongwa jebe dra nobar jebe geng tarba dan tam je gembe bardu jobra jeba tam je geze jebe ma nangka dang nyampe senjen tam je dewa dan den dung yao dan den do lana meba yang dang pra zobe janju rembo je tom pra jada la dongwa jebe dra nobar jebe geng Tarpa dan tam je gembe bardu jopra jepa tam je ge ze jebe ma langka dang nyambe senjen tam je dewa dan den dung yao dan de ne do la na me pa yang dang para so be chan ju rinpo je tom pra ja da la dang ma je be dra no par je be ge tarpa dan tam je gembe bardu jopra jepa Tam je ge so je pe ma nang ka dang nyam pe sen chen tam je de wa dang de dung ya dang de ne do la na me pa yang dang pra zo pe chan chu ren po je do para jo da la dang wa je pe da no par je pe ge thar pa dang dam je gen pe bar du jo pra je pa Tam je ge se je pe ma nang ka dang nam pe sen chen tam je de wa dang de dung ga dang de ne do la na me ba yang da pra zo pe chan ju ren po je tom para ja de je de sama ge ge bar do lunga yesum ge wa la go ma she bar do lunga yesum ge wa la go du de ring ne sun de ne ma san da sam ge bar do lunga yesum ge wa la go san je jo dan so ge jo nam la chang ju bar do da ne kyab zu che da ge jin su ge be so nang ke do la pen che sang ge do pra sho sang ge jo dan so ge jo nam la chang ju bar do da ne kyab zu che da ge jin su ge be so nang ke do la pen che sang ge do pra sho sang ge jo dan so ge jo nam la chang ju bar do da ne kyab zu che Dage jinsu ge be so nang ge do la pencher sangye dru pra shu. So we are now at page 6 of the opening recitations. So these things, over time, you kind of get more and more familiar, and no need for the pages to be announced. These are just the awkwardness of at the beginning, you're looking here, looking there, but over time, you catch on, and this is the kind of learning that will stick, rather than like these days, we get so used to GPS. Then when the GPS doesn't work, nowhere can go. It used to be, we know, whole body, mind knowing how to get somewhere. Of course, it also means a lot of places we didn't know how to go. But these days, in theory, we know how to go anywhere. But then if the GPS is down, nowhere we can go. So is that really knowing, What kind of knowing is that? Manang kadang nyampe senjen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudang dempara gyurji dungao dang dungao gi gyudang dewa gyurji dungao mepe dewa dang me dewa gyurji neding chadang nedang dewe tang nyong la nepara gyurji manang kadang nyampe senjen tamche dewa dang Dewe Gildan Dembara Girji Dungyao Dan Dungyao Gi Gildan Dewa Girji Dungyao Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Girji Nering Chadan Nidan Dewe Danyon La Nebra Girji Manang Kadam Yampe Senchen Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Gildan Dembara Girji Dungyao Dan Dungyao Gi Gildan Dewa Girji Dungyao Mepe Dewa Dame Dewa Girji Nering Chadan Nidang Dewe Danyon La Nebra Girji Bajra Samaja Bajra Samaja Bajra Samaja Malu Semjen Gungi Gongirji Dude Pungje Midze Jomze Lang Onam Malu Jishin Kingyurbe Jumden Goje Nidu Shishu So Argyam Padya Pushbe Tube Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Prade Jaso Zashi Boju Jushi Medo Dram Rira Linshi Ninde Gempadi Sanje Shingla Megde Bulwaye Toku Namda Shindu Chobra Jo Jase Wadan Chojing Shapadang Jesu Yirang Kusing Sowaye Gewa Chungse Dagi Chisangpa Tamche Sope Changju Jirngo. And now, go to the Mahamudra manual. On page 3. So first, these are reminders of how we should sit, how we should place our body. Sit on a comfortable cushion with legs crossed, folded. Straighten the spine, place the hands in the gesture of meditative equipoise below the navel. Gaze at the tip of the nose, let the tongue lightly touch the upper palate. Leave the teeth and lips in their natural position. Let breath flow comfortably. Elsewhere, Kyoba Rinpoche gave these instructions by highlighting 8 key points. Legs crossed in the Vajra position, hands placed in the gesture of meditative equipoise, spine straightened, neck bends slightly with the chin pulled in, gaze lowered to the tip of the nose, tongue touching the upper palate, sense faculties directed downward, specifically sight directed downwards, shoulders broad like a vulture's wings. He further elaborates by saying, by crossing the legs, indigestion will not occur and one will not be vulnerable to gossip. Because this vital point brings the earth wings under control. By placing the hands in meditative equipoise, the fire winds are brought to their vital point and controlled. This will enable the rising of the samadhi of bliss. By straightening the spine and broadening shoulders, the pervasive winds are brought to their vital point and their power is settled in their own place. Thus the faults of pain in the channels, winds, and heart will not occur. And by bending the neck, meaning pulling the chin in, the channel knots are pressed. In doing that, the wind energies are brought to their vital point, and the quality of its being controlled arises, whereby a non-conceptual samadhi begins to develop. By touching the tongue to the palate and letting the sense faculties hang downward, the water winds are brought to their vital point and controlled. By lowering the gaze to the tip of the nose, space winds are brought to their vital point and control. And this develops the increase of the samadhi of clarity. Having relaxed the exhalation and inhalation of breath, little by little, free from effort, the breath exhales and inhales just as it is. Thus one is well seated in the bodhisattva posture. Then reflect briefly on the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and endowments that we now have, and give rise to joy. Think joyfully about how we have all that we need and all that it takes to practice the Dharma now. And so we should not waste away our life, for impermanence and death can change everything overnight. Even the condition of being able to attend this in the morning could change overnight. Now you have to go to work. Now you have to take care of other things. Develop conviction in the unmistaken workings of karmic cause and effect. And finally, recognize the faults of samsara. Laying aside distractions, laying aside all the faults. May we have this space to be able to hear the teachings of the Fivefold Mahamudra and take them to heart. Practicing them and actualizing the qualities of the Fivefold Mahamudra. And as one of the preliminaries, we now offer mandala. So the mandala section starts on page 9. Beginning first with establishing the accomplishment mandala. So first moisten your mandala grains with saffron water. If they are slightly moistened, the stickiness of the rice, especially if you use rice, will hold the grains together better. Then pick up some rice grains and some grains with your left hand. Put the mandala, hold the mandala plate on the left. And then now some saffron on the mandala surface. Take some grains with your right thumb and 2 fingers. And now cleanse the plate. Om Bhadra Sato Samaya Manupalaya Bazarata Denupalita Bazada Denumata Bazasato Denumata Mahasamaya Sadhu. Just as the mandala is free from dust, think that the karmic, emotive, and cognitive obscurations of all sentient beings are cleared. And this is at the end of the section on page 9. And now, Om Bhajra Bhumi Ahong, in the center, place 1 pao. And imagine that now Guru Vajradhara is seated on the throne in the center of this mandala, on a magnificent throne. This throne is related to us. This throne is actually us. So Guru Vajradhara sitting in the center of us, in the center of our heart. Then in 1 pao in front, representing the host of idams, all the idams, all the meditative deities. Then 1 heap for all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. 1 heap for the sublime Dharma. And 1 heap for the noble Sangha. Then think that in all the spaces in between are the Dharmapalas, the Dakinis, the Dakas, Viras. You can make it the central pao a little higher for the Guru. Now, having established that, put it in the space in front of you on the shrine. Now pick up at the accumulations mandala, again looking for the Dharma wheel facing you. As you prepare this mandala, again, saffron water on the surface of the mandala. Pick up some grains and Om Sato Samaya Mandala. Bazarazato Samaya Mandala. Hasamaya Sato. Aha. So now on page 11, again, Om Bajra Bhumi Ahung, stabilizing the foundations of the mandala. And now in the center is Mount Meru. Which also corresponds to your torso, your body, and your head. Mount Meru. Then the 4 continents in the 4 directions correspond to your 2 hands and your 2 legs. Eastern continent, southern continent, western continent, and then northern continent. Sun and moon are your 2 eyes. And all the wondrous jewels and desirable things. It says the center is filled to overflowing with the glorious and perfect riches of gods and humans. Imagine inconceivable clouds of offerings arising from the complete, just as in the complete liberation account of Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. So this is a reference to Bodhisattva Samantabhadra's skillful means in manifesting lots and lots of offerings as he offered to all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, primarily using the power of his mind, making the mind really magnificent, making the mind really broad, really open. No tightness there in this spacious mind. Making the offerings possible. So now turn this mandala so that the front is facing the accomplishment mandala. Now with the accumulations mandala, we make the offering. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, idam deities, and you, noble 3 jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O gurus, idams, and noble 3 jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. And then add some grains and do the second offering. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To all you sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels. I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. O Gurus, Idams, and Noble Three Jewels, I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O Gurus, Idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue. As an offering, please accept them, O Gurus, Idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O Gurus, Idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O Gurus, Idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, Idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O Gurus, Idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. The very first verse of offering with those 4 lines, and they're generally used in all mandala offerings. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers. So the whole great earth, think of it that way. But also recognize that this is speaking of basically our skin laid out on the ground. So the whole body, in other words. And then adorned with the supreme mountain, and that is Mount Meru in the center of this world. And also, our body, our torso, our head, 4 continents, sun and moon, also corresponding to our 4 limbs, our eyes. Then here, very important, it says, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. Meaning, I will experience, I will remember that this whole world out there and our body here is to be experienced as the Buddha Pure Land. And in experiencing this as a Pure Land, as a Buddha land, then we offer it. And the purpose of offering this is so that may all wandering beings experience such a Pure Land. So it's saying that if we want others to experience the Pure Land, the Buddha land, then we ourselves have to experience the Pure Land, the Buddha land. If we're not able to experience, we're not able to build, to cultivate, which is what meditate actually means, to cultivate, to build. If we're not able to cultivate the experience of this world with all its wonderful things, if we're not able to experience and to cultivate and to experience this world with all its wonderful things as a Buddha land, as a Pure land, then we have nothing to offer to sentient beings. And sentient beings will not be able to experience this Pure Land either. Now think that this has been offered to the mandala of accomplishment, and the mandala of accomplishment gives us blessings in return as you sweep the accumulation mandala towards you. Then next, we dissolve the accomplishment mandala into us, and then we remain in the recognition of inseparability afterwards. The inseparability between the accomplishment mandala, the objects of offering, the objects of refuge, and our own mind. So quoting from the mother of the victorious ones, the Prajnaparamita Sutra, it says that as long as the roots of virtue are not completely perfected, one will not attain sublime emptiness. And that means you will not be able to realize this sublime emptiness if we are insufficient in merit. Merit in the end, it's about the mind, the heart being completely open, stable. And then from within that openness, within that stability, the qualities, the abundant qualities that are innate become obvious, become available to us, become available to others. And so then that's the great merit, the real meaning of great merit. Now, page 30, around there, 30, 31, 30. So I found one quote about the 5 manifest awakenings. So here, in one of Gyoba Rinpoche's teachings, it says, furthermore, in the creation stage, one practices in accordance with the basis of purification. And the basis of purification for us right now is the stages of birth and conditioned existence. And one practices in the manner of the teacher's own manifest awakening. So to match or to align our stages of birth and conditioned existence and the teacher with a capital T means, the Buddha Shakyamuni, and Buddha Shakyamuni's own manifest awakening. Here, making manifest or cultivating the fact that you are yourself an actual Buddha, innately awakened in the manner of the 5 awakenings, is what is called the creation stage. So this is the good definition of creation stage. Right? Again, here, making manifest or cultivating the fact that you are yourself an actual Buddha, innately awakened in the manner of the 5 awakenings, is what is called the creation stage. So that's the essential meaning of the creation stage. So then within the creation stage, of course, more extensive practices have more details. And in the Gongchik, Gyoba Jigden Sungön says, first of all, understand that these stages were not arbitrarily given by the Buddha. These stages were given based on what Buddhas saw to be the way things are, and how things are, and how things got messed up, so to say. How things are is that things are fundamentally, innately, primordially Buddha. Then how things got messed up, then how instead of manifest awakening, manifest confusion has unfolded. So Buddha's seeing the direct correspondence between these 2 states and taught the stages of the creation stage. In yet another teaching of Gyoba Rinpoche, it says that sometimes when people talk about creation stage practice, they use the Chittamatra, the mind-only school, their way of explaining reality and experience. There's a famous system of what's called the 3 natures in the mind-only philosophical tradition of Buddhism. There's one philosophical tradition called mind-only or Chittamatra. So in the Chittamatra system, when they try to explain, help us understand, reality and our experience, they say there are three natures. There is the dependent nature, and there is the mistaken nature. The dependent nature, the imputed nature, and then the perfect nature. And so sometimes, it seems like people want to explain creation stage using these three natures. And they will say that the dependent nature is the neutral state that we are in now. So it's dependent. So depending on what conditions come, it will go accordingly. And then they say that the imputed nature, in this case, right now we are imputing ourselves to be samsaric beings. So Gilbert Rinpoche agrees up to this point in a way. But then they say, then you use a skillful imputed nature, which is to impute yourself as Buddha with this form, with these characteristics, with these qualities. And they say that is also using one kind of imputed nature to overcome another kind of imputed nature. And this is where Gilbert Rinpoche disagree. He say, no, this method, the principles of creation stage is not about imputed nature. It is all about the perfected nature. So he says, all the stages of training in the creation stage are innately so, often translated as primordially established. Then following there, he says, and therefore also the more advanced you are, it means when you say advanced, what does it mean by advanced? The more advanced you are as a practitioner, then the more you will be able to fully take advantage of the more detailed sadhanas. Because the details, the fine details of the sadhanas, of the creation stage sadhanas, are like very fine methods, very fine, very detailed ways to remove the more and more subtle types of confusion. And therefore, the more advanced you are, it's not like you become more advanced, then you become more lazy, like, oh yeah, all that, so many details. No, I don't need that. I'm now advanced. I can just imagine I'm deity, Like Gilbert Rinpoche says, actually, that's just a very kind of blur way of I'm deity, Then all the hidden faults are still hidden. So then all the details, are to uncover more effectively, pull out all these hidden faults. Which also means, when we are just starting, you don't need to try to use all the details. Just know that they are there for when you are ready. So with regards to even the text that we have here, I'm sure some of us already feel like, oh my gosh, this Idam practice of Chakkasamvara has so many details. So the way we should relate to this is first, kind of grasp the big picture things and understand each section and just cultivate the bigger kind of parts and sections. And then slowly over time, the details can begin to find the right place to go to. So yesterday we basically looked at already the basic details of what Chakkasamvara looks like, what Vajavarahi looks like. And in yesterday's teachings also, I I gave you some explanation from Kyopa Rinpoche he has one teaching called the Pith Instructions for the Co-Emergent Jakasamvara. He actually, in his whole collection of his collected teachings, 12, 15 volumes, only one explicit text that gives Pith instructions on Jakasamvara. And you say, oh, did he give a lot of instructions on a whole bunch of other deities? No. The early Gagyupa tradition is not heavy on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deities with, different colors, different hands, different number of hands, different colors of faces and complexion and all of that. It's very light on deities in that sense. So this is the flavor of the early Gagyupa tradition. But then, of course, over time, Gagyupas feel like they need to have as many fancy things as other people have. So then we also started to go receive transmissions in all the different deities and the different ways that help different beings, connect to the Buddha principles. So I'm not saying it as a fault, but it's also helpful to know in the early Gagyupa communities, we are, generally as a lineage, as a tradition, we are light on deities. You look at the 100,000 songs of Milarepa, the kind of the biggest body of information that you can get, teachings about Milarepa. And again, there are very few deities mentioned. Even some of the most common ones, it's not in there. And now it's easy to search, if you have an ebook translation of the 100,000 songs of Milarepa, just go search for the usual deity names, and you see how many times it turns up. You'll be surprised. Then also in Dapo Rinpoche, Gampopa's collected works, which of course has not been translated yet. So this one, I suppose you have to just trust me. Again, very few deities mentioned. In there is one pith instruction given on, instead of Chakasamvara, in fact, it's on Vajavarahi in Gampopa's collected teachings. So early Kagyupas did not have a lot of different deities. And the one that they do have, even there, relatively speaking, compared to other lineages, there is not so much emphasis on being technically correct. I would say that. Instead of emphasizing technical superiority, so I guess you could say early Gagyupas were not engineers, even engineers of the mind. They were not engineers of the mind, but they were poets of the heart. Early Gagyupas. Of course, I'm sure there are different people too, in that community, but as an overall style, they were poets of the heart rather than engineers of the mind. So they did not have all these, they did not emphasize so much. Too many details. Anyway, too many or too little is relative. Right now, I'm sure, again, you look at this Jakasamvara instruction here, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot. So, after the 5 awakenings, now the form of Jakasamvara and Vajavarahi in union, and then also yesterday and day before I covered Kyopa Rinpoche's giving us, this means this. This feature of the deity means this. This feature of the deity means that. So in describing the deity, that's emphasizing cultivating clarity in your visualization. In giving us the meaning of what we are cultivating, it's cultivating what's known as mindfulness of the purity aspect of the deity. And in emphasizing the 5 awakenings, that's to serve the purpose of increasing divine pride of the deity, holding the pride of the deity, holding the identity of the deity. So these are the 3 often mentioned qualities that we have to train when we train in creation stage. So then creation stage also have within it different further different devices or different purposes. So I have taught once or twice now Gampopa's instructions on creation stage, 6 aspects of creation stage. And there are recordings floating around somewhere. I don't know where. Sweden, yes, Sweden Center YouTube should have the link, should have the video for Gampopa's teachings, and also Max Casa Tibet, but anyway, the Sweden Center, you can easily watch if you search Ratnashri Sweden on YouTube, the 6 aspects of creation stage. So Gampopa has his pith instructions on what we need to focus on, what we need to know, what we need to understand when we are cultivating creation stage. So there he doesn't talk about the 5 awakenings. Now I'm seeing more and more, I think 5 awakenings was an important way of explaining the creation stage for Kyopa Rinpoche and his immediate disciples. So anyway, so there in Gampopa's creation stage, 6 points, 6 crucial points of creation stage. There in one part he talks about why Samaya Sattva, why the Samaya beings, and why wisdom beings, and what do you do with the Samaya beings, and what do you do with the wisdom beings, and what is happening when the Samaya beings and the wisdom beings dissolve into each other. So he explains all of that. Then he also explains, then why after the Samaya being, after the wisdom beings come and bless the Samaya beings and dissolve into the Samaya beings, then what is the next step for, which is receiving empowerment from the 5 Buddha families, which is where we are now. So on page 29, it says, using the mudra and the visualization of Ja Hong Bam Ho, right? Thereby hooking, drawing in, binding, and pleasing these wisdom beings, making them into one taste, meaning dissolving, dissolving into the 2 Samaya beings and wisdom beings, then become one taste. Then now you bless your crown, your throat, and your heart with Om Ah Hong. So you visualize Om, white Om in the center, not center on the skin, inside the body. Ah, red Ah, blue Hong. Of course, you are now in the form of Jagasamvara and Vajavarahi. In the Mahakala instructions that some of you participated a few weeks back, this, the meaning of this, bless your crown with Om, your throat with Ah, your heart with Hung, is made explicit. What do I mean? There in the Mahakala instructions, it says, and now you actually spend time to recite Om Ah Hung, 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 Om Ah Hung. And you can do that here. It's helpful. Don't rush through. Before you invite the empowerment deities to come, before you invite the 5 Buddha families to come, you can pause here now, and then holding the visualization of yourself as Chakasamvara and Vajrayogini in union. So in both their 3 places is white Om, red A, blue Hung. You bless the 3 places with placing your mind on those 3 places. If you are not able at the beginning to visualize the actual syllables written in that way, you can think 3 kind of spheres of light, like 3 marbles, 3 spheres of light, white in color, red in color, blue in color, glowing inside the body. And as they glow, they are making the sound Om, Ah, Hung, Om, Ah, Hung. So you recite Om, Ah, Hung, 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 Om, Ah, Hung. Slowly, slowly like that. Om, Ah, Hung, Om, Ah, Hung. In Marpa's commentary on the Guhya Samaja Tantra, Guhya Samaja practice, Marpa also emphasized the training of Om Ahung by relating it to breath. And so if you want to incorporate that, you can also do that. Maybe even better than just quickly wanting to finish one mala, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. Then the mind is Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. Om Ahung there, 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 except for Om Ahung here, So Marpa's instructions are very simple but very helpful. Is inhale Om, hold what your inhalation, holding them, your breath down, Ah, and then Hung, exhale, Om, inhale, Ah, press down, breath. And if you want, if you can, as you're pressing down the breath, your lower muscles is pulling up. And so this is training in what's called the vase breathing, like a vase. And the bottom is closed, the top is closed now, and bringing together like this. As you, breath goes down to the navel area, and then there your lower muscles, or you kind of pull up, Om, Ah, Hum, yeah. Om as you're breathing in, Ah is when you push down breath, lightly, don't force, lightly down as you then lightly pull up the muscles, and then Hung, release. Release the kind of going down and release the pulling up of the muscles, then Hung. Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. So this is the blessing of the crown center, throat center, and heart center. Then next, from the Hung in Chakasamvara's heart, light radiates now to invite the 5 families with their retinues, meaning 5 male and female Buddhas, the 5 male and female Buddhas, the male and female Bodhisattvas, the 6 male and 6 female Bodhisattvas, and then all the wrathful male and female deities. And they come, having made inner offerings, pray. So the inner offerings here, it's referring to later, we can pull from other later texts of that clarifies this. You are basically you are making the 5
offerings of the five senses. That's the inner offerings in this context. So then you pray, may all you Tathagatas bestow empowerment. And now please give empowerment to me. Then you recite Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata Samaye Shriye Hong. As you're reciting that, you imagine, you think your entire body is filled with the elixir of wisdom, which is poured by the empowerment deities above onto your whole body. You, of course, you are both male and female. And the excess water overflows to the top of the head, and Akshobhya seals your crown, it says here in our text. And for Vajavarahi, Vairochana seals her crown. It's not mentioned in our text, but it's Vairochana that is above her crown from the excess empowerment water that fills her entire body, then overflows from the top of her head. On the top of the head here, there's a small opening. When we were babies, you can see this soft opening here. That's called the Brahma aperture, the Brahma opening, which is Brahma, like the God Brahma, above. So above here is the Brahma opening, Brahma aperture. In Poa, there's emphasis on this opening here in the transference practice. Then on page 31, it says, this deity is like a drawing in the sky, appearing yet without inherent essence. So this is important kind of instruction. Cultivate it as clear yet without grasping. Its color are distinct, like a rainbow in the sky. Its form is clear, like a reflection in a mirror. Its appearance is pervasive, like the moon's reflection in water. It should be known through these three main similes. So these are the three, right? Like a rainbow, like a mirror, like a moon reflected in water. Like a rainbow, all the colors are distinct, but just as you cannot grasp, you cannot try to capture a rainbow, and don't try to grasp this. And its form is clear, not fuzzy, so like reflection in a mirror. Then it's pervasive, like the moon's reflection in water, meaning wherever there's water, if there's a moon up in the sky that night, wherever there's water, you can see this moon. Or through the 12 similes, as Master Nagarjuna said, your body is not a hollow void, yet it is without flesh, bone, and blood. Like a rainbow in the sky, you manifest your form. And so you should not meditate, you should not cultivate this as like something solid, like a statue, definitely not two-dimensional or flat, like a painting. From the Guhya Samaja Tantra, whoever cultivates my form, whether as a magical illusion or being like a dream, by cultivating in this way intensely, they will come to see it directly. So again and again, when we bring to mind, when we cultivate this form, eventually you have direct vision of Chakasamvara and Vajavarahi. And glorious Pamodrupa said, cultivate the deity's form, which is like a rainbow, the purpose is to abandon clinging to ordinariness. So the main purpose, so in Gampopa's creation stage instructions, he also emphasized this. What is the main purpose of the creation stage? Is to abandon clinging to ordinariness, and specifically ordinary body and mind, and that we are fixated on now as I and me and mine. You abandon that, set that aside. Therefore, one should single-mindedly cultivate the Idam deity as the union of appearance and emptiness without grasping. Then in here, in this text, in the two mantras are now given, without a lot of instructions either. That these two mantras, Om Hri Ha Ha Hong Hong Pe. This is the heart mantra of the male deity. And Vajra Barojani Hong Hong Pe is the heart mantra of the female deity. In later traditions, there are extra mantras, to recite. But for us, it's enough, these two heart mantras of the male and female, the Lord and the Lady. Any questions, comments for now?
Sorry, John, I'm getting lost about in our text mentioned that Akshobhya, Buddha Akshobhya appears in the crown or
Of,
seals the crown,
the male,
but
the male deity.
okay, and in the female deity is Vairocana.
It's Vairocana, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the gurus, on the top of the head.
Even when not mentioned in the document, no?
It's not mentioned in our sadhana.
Yeah.
I'm just giving some more, information.
Okay. And also in another instructions when you visualize Om Ahum and when you stay in the retention of the air or the breath, mention that the syllable A is in the belly around
No. Ah is in the throat.
is in the throat.
Yes. No.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So Om Hong is always in these three places. They don't
Okay.
ever go somewhere else. And no matter what deity you practice, Om Hong is always in the three places. The belly thing is just saying if you want to incorporate, if you don't want to rush Om Hong, you can do it in the context of breath. Om is inhale, not like you're inhaling Om. Oms is still here. Ah is still here. Hong is still here. It's just like when you say Om, you inhale. Of course,
if you're doing this, you say, you don't actually verbally say. If you're verbally saying Om, you cannot inhale. And so it's now mental recitation. And so you recite mentally Om. As you're reciting that, breathe in. As you're reciting Ah, gently guide breath down to the navel. Hold it there. As you recite Hong, goes back out the breath. But the three syllables are always these three places.
Okay.
They don't go somewhere else.
Rinpoche, can I use the Ahum breathing and visualization in my daily life?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, for sure.
Thank you.
Dorlo Rinpoche.
Yeah.
I was watching again the recordings, and there was this recording where it was discussed that we are so fixated on this body that we try to figure out where the appearing of the deity takes
Yes.
place, and I want to link this to the fact that Chakrasambhara appears as female and male. So is it the same? Like, we shouldn't fixate too much that we are him, her, or both, or
Yeah, of course.
okay. Thank you.
But here mainly is you're focused on the Father, the Lord. And so then when you are doing Vajrayavarahi practice, then you're mostly focused on that. And so there is like foreground and background. The foreground here is the male form, embracing the female form. And that's why even in this sadhana, more details are given for the male form than the female form. Then likewise, if when you're practicing a Vajrayogini, Vajravarahi sadhana, then more, in fact, the male deity kind of disappears into the symbolic form, the Katanga.
Thank you.
The male deity is very hidden when you are practicing the female deity as the main. Then, of course, never fixate. But not fixating doesn't mean, visualization become kind of fuzzy and unclear. You have to know what you're mainly training with. Different texts have different emphasis on what is being trained.
I have a follow-up question to that. So as you've said, that Renee pointed out, how do I say it right? It's not necessarily about where the deity is, but one clarification I'd like that I can't find anywhere is, generally speaking, are you focusing on generating the deity in a first person or third person perspective, or is that important at all?
Are we talking grammar now, or what are we talking about?
No. It's orientation. Like, is it right here, or that's what I mean.
It's based on what?
The sense of I.
Yeah, so you have to dissolve that as the first awakening.
Okay. So it just is okay.
That's why you have not found anywhere, because it cannot be found anywhere.
Okay.
The answer, nor the deity.
Okay. I'm going to avoid asking for further clarification and stick with that for a minute. Thank you.
That clarification can only come when the I of current confusion is 100% effectively dissolved. And that's called Buddhahood.
Even as simply just a point of reference of that feeling of here versus there.
Yeah, work with that. Then eventually you'll know what is here, what is there.
Okay, thank you.
What is this side? What is this side? What is this side? How about upside down? How about Chakasamwara is this way? Yeah, like that. Never considered Chakasamwara appearing like this?
No.
Only two options, right? You think, should I think of myself like this? Or should I think of myself like this? What about like this? What about like this?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
When it becomes unimportant, you know, then maybe something is going on. Also think of it this way, you know. You can think of it this way. Maybe. When you are caught up in a movie, when you identify with the character, you don't, you know, it's a feeling. Right? It's a feeling. Oh, I can really identify with that character. 장주 샘조 림포체 마게 바남 개규제 개바냠 밤에 바양 공내 공두 배월쇼. Okay, see all of you tomorrow. Ta ta.